Hello there everyone, this is Brother Birch. In this video I'm going to introduce Project 06. Okay, what I would like to point out before I start is kind of where I left off with the week 5 or the Project 5 walkthrough and showing this structure chart. This is exactly where I would start developing this. Since you have it planned out what table or sorry what functions you're going to use and different things like that, use that structure chart that you made or this one if you like it, to start on project 6. Okay, it says the second part of the calendar project is to write the pseudocode for two functions, compute offset and display table. Write the pseudocode for the function compute offset. This function will determine the day of the week of the first day of the month by counting how many days have passed since the 1st of January 1753. That number, num days, divided by 7 will tell us how many weeks have passed. The remainder will tell us the offset from Monday. For example, if the months begin on a Thursday, then offset equals 3. Okay. So it says you only need the pseudocode for these. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, I would open up, I'm just going to make a new project here. So I'll just say copy my template .cpp into project02.cpp. Whoops, that's the wrong project. Let's change that to project 06. That's better. Okay, now that that's in here, here's my project. I'll go ahead and just update this stuff. Okay, now that I have that in there, so it says that we only need to write the pseudocode for compute offset and table display. So let's look at those. So compute offset is going to do a lot of different things. Okay, we need to figure out, like it says here, how many days it's been since January 1st, 1753, so that we can figure out how many weeks it's been and the offset. Okay, what I would recommend doing is go ahead and start by kind of writing out main. All right, and you don't have to do this, but what I would do is just say int month, and then I would have a get month function, and then I would have an int year, and then I'd have a get year function. Okay, and then these would call another function that we had made previously. So let's say I had one. Let me just go ahead and update this one. Main will start the program. I'm just going to copy this whole thing and paste it. But this function is going to be get month, and get month will prompt the user for a month. And then in here, first off, I would just declare month. All right, and then I could say something like while true, because I need some error checking in here. And then I could say I'll have my first console output, and let's look at our program here to see what it'll say. Enter month number. Okay, so console out, enter a month number. All right, and then cin, we already declared month, so I'll assign it to that. And now we need to check it. So if month is less than or equal to 12 and month is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, then I would return month. Okay, now if that happens, okay, if it's from 1 to 12, then it'll return month, and the month will pop up right here, and that'll be perfect. Okay, if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, then I'll just say cout month must be between 1 and 12. Okay, and so if we reach this line of code, it means that they didn't enter a valid month, and then it'll just keep on looping and looping and looping until they do, and then it will finally return the proper month. Okay, so there is how I would get started with get month. You'll have something very similar for get year. It's showing an error right there because I don't have a get year. If I wanted to write up the pseudocode for compute offset, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to paste this right here for in compute offset. All right, and for this, if I look back at our structure table here, I know that offset will need the number of, or it'll need the years and the months. Okay, so I could go ahead and just declare this as int month and int year. Okay, so I've declared compute offset. I'm not calling it anywhere yet, but I would want to think through what exactly has to be done inside of this function. We know that at the end of the day, this is going to return a number from 0 to 6, right? If we look back at this table, let's pull this up real quick. The offset is going to be one of these numbers. Okay, we just have to figure out which number it is so that we know which day of the week we're starting on. Okay, so a couple of things to think about. We would need to figure out the number of days in that year and the number of days associated with each month. Okay, because really all I need to know is just the number of days since January 1st of 1753, right? To get that, I should add up the days associated with each year, including the current. Okay, so all of these will either be 355 or 356 except for the current one. So add those up, and then we should have a good idea of how many days it's been since January 1st of 1753. Okay, whatever number I get in here, let's say it's like 50,000, knowing that I'm going to return either 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 0, or 0, I can just take that value and basically just say, return whatever days since date modulus 7 to see what that would give us for our offset. Okay. So this could be my pseudocode for our compute offset function. Let's look at our other one real quick. Compute offset and display table. All right, so let me check out display table real quick. All right, so display table is going to need the number of days that are going to be displayed in that month, and it's also going to need to know the offset to know where it's going to be printed. Okay, we're going to have to display the header, which should be pretty simple. Okay, we're just going to output this, and I'm pretty sure it even tells us, yeah, it tells us how much space is to the left of our first column in our table. Okay, and then we have to think through how we're going to put in our offset space here. So I could think about this if my offset was, say, 3, okay, meaning looking at this table, if my offset was 3, my number 1, my first day of the month, is going to end up on Thursday, right here. Okay, so I could look at this and be like, oh, okay, so there's like 4 spaces in every column. So if my offset's 3, then I need to multiply 4 by x to get my 1 to land where I need it to land. And then I could create some type of a loop to help me do that. Okay, so let me just copy this real quick, and I'll call this one display table, and it's going to be a display, so it's just going to be void. We're going to need a num days and our offset, like we said. Okay, it will display the table. Okay, and then in here, I won't really have a return. All right, but I am going to have to calculate where the first of the month will land based on offset. Okay, I'm also going to have to display the header for the table and the first row of labels. Then I'll calculate where that first one lands, and then I'll go ahead and loop from 1 to the end of the month, and then do similar calculations to put each number in the right place. All right, so that's kind of how I would get started with this assignment. I hope that this was helpful for you. Yeah, we'll go ahead and finish it up in the next video. If you have any questions while working on it, just let me know.